What's up, everybody? Back for another Honkai Star Rail video. In this video, we're going to go over the best light cone you can pick from the new battle pass. Now, I am a bit late to this video. I do apologize. Was trying to get some other videos out, and I really had to sit down and really think about the order of these light cones because they're actually all pretty good, with the exception of one, technically, right? We'll get into that one when we get into it. But all these are insane. Like I'm telling you, the amount of difference between these ones and the older ones is insane. The older ones were actually not even that great when they came out. All of these ones, right? Obviously, this one's also pretty good. I'm sad how they did it. If they would have waited one more patch, you could have maxed out the Remembrance Light Cone and then worried about these, which unfortunately my plan is I'm going to get one of each of these, and then I'm going to go back, max this one out, and then I'll max out the one that I want from these ones. These ones are so good, though, so it's very, very hard to pick. I'll say mine at the very end. I was gonna say it at the beginning, but I'm not sure I want to do that just so I don't sway you guys. But regardless, let's just jump into it, right? So first things first, when it comes to these light cones, right? They're kind of grouped together in a sense, right? What I mean by that is these two, I'm not tearing them, by the way. These two and then these four kind of do similar things, right? So I'm going to talk about them like in a group, right? So first things first, let's talk about the Triby one, which is going to be for Harmony characters, right? Or sorry, Abundance. I apologize. Harmony, Triby, Harmony, it happens, right? So at S1, increase the wearer's outgoing healing by 12%. When an allied target's current HP percentage is greater than or equal to 50%, increase the damage dealt by 12%. And this goes up to 24 and 20, right? So what this is increases your healing, and it makes it to where the other team members can do damage, right? Now, the Aventurine Light Cone, which is funny sneak that he's in here, and not another crisis there. Anyway, is preservation. It does similar things. Increase the wearer's provided shield effect by 12%. When an allied target has a shield, the damage dealt increases by 12%, and it goes up to 24 and 20, right? Very similar to this light cone. So I'm gonna tier them very similarly, right? Now, unfortunately for the Aventurine Light Cone for preservation, it is a lot easier to get an abundance character that heals you versus a preservation character that shields you, right? Going over here to preservation characters, the only ones who can shield you are Aventurine, March, Japard, and the Fire MC. More than likely, you're not using the Fire MC, so let's just mark them out. March only has a shield to one character at a time, and you're going to have to apply it multiple times. Fushuan doesn't have a shield, so it's really just Japard and Aventurine who can get the most value out of this. Obviously, you can use Fire MC because they have AoE shields, but you're probably using a different MC form, like Harmony or Remembrance. So having two characters is kind of rough. Now, going over to Abundance, we have Linksha heals, Gallagher heals, Woho heals, Lynx heals, Lord. Literally every character here heals. There's not a funny gimmick like Fushuan's where they don't give shield or AoE whatnot. So a lot easier to use this cone than the preservation one, right? So because of that, I do think these are solid light cones. Probably deserve to be in something like B tier. The preservation one just got to go lower. So we're gonna put it like this, right? Next up, we have the Cypher and Hyacine light cones, right? So for the Cypher light cone, I almost said Hyacine one, she is Harmony, right? Kind of weird how she's like a Nihility character, but it's Harmony. It's fine, right? So her light cone is very interesting. After entering battle, increase all allies break damage dealt by 16%, and it goes up to a max of 24, right? Now, this effect is pretty unique because the break team doesn't really have this. However, this is on Harmony characters, meaning the only two characters who can use this are going to be Ruan Mei and HMC, right? You can't use this on Fugue, so if you use Fugue on your break team, it's really only Ruan Mei, and so Ruan Mei has to sacrifice either her signature light cone or the free-to-play break energy one, right? Which could mess up how fast you get your ultimate. The Ruin May Light Cone gives skill points and a lot of break effect, right? There's a lot of break effect you have to make up, right? Now, technically speaking, if you can meet the requirements to slot in this light cone is going to be very, very good for your break team. However, if you can't reach the requirements, it's going to be a bit rough, right? Ruin May does want a lot of break effect to get her full passives off. And then obviously you are going to want to have enough energy. So if you're relying on the 4-star light cone, the one with Cocolia, it gives energy and also break effect. If you're relying on that to get your ultimate, it's also going to be a bit rough, right? So technically speaking, this light cone is either S rank because you can meet the requirements and just get overall more damage, or it's going to be in D because you either don't use break or you can't justify the loss of stats, right? So I'm going to put it in S at the moment, but do keep that in mind with this light cone. And then the Hyacinth one I'm going to put in A. We'll go over it really quickly. Hyacinth light cone is the Nihility one. This one increases the wearer's damage dealt by 16%. After the wearer attacks, there's a 100% base chance that the attacked target is afflicted with vulnerability. Increases damage they receive by 10% for 2 turns. The same effect type cannot stack. This goes to a total of 32% damage dealt and 16% damage received for 2 turns, right? Which is pretty good that there's a 2-turn thing on it, right? But overall, this light cone is actually pretty solid. You just put it on a Nihility character, and they just, do more damage themselves, and the other team also do more damage. Now, thinking of Nihility characters who can fully utilize this, we actually have quite a bit. You can use it on someone like Cypher, who is going to attack a lot. You're probably going to get it off, right? And then you have, Silverwolf, Kafka, this also increases their base damage as well. So Cypher's follow-ups will do more, her skill and basic attack will do more, Kafka will do more damage, Silverwolf will do more damage, right? Because a lot of these characters are pretty much supporting and doing their own damage at the same time, right? Hyacinth can use this, right? You're probably not going to use it on someone like Fugue or Acheron or Black Swan, right? But it is a really good option to get some more damage in, also while boosting their own personal damage, which is always a big W, right? Then, last but not least, we have the 4 light cones on the bottom. These light cones are going to be crit rate and crit damage light cones, and they pretty much focus on 2 mechanics and then go from there, right? So, for example, one of them is going to be skill ultimate, one of them's follow-up attack, skill, follow-up attack ultimate. It's going to be like that, right? So let's look at these really quickly to get a better look at them. So the Remembrance one is increase the crit damage by 24%, and the crit damage dealt by the Remembrance sprite by 24% as well. This goes up to 40 and 48. This one, obviously, is for Remembrance. This one is Erudition, increases their crit rate by 12%, and the ultimate and follow-up attack damage by 24. This goes up to 20 and 40. The next one is for the Destruction, increases the wearer's crit rate by 12%. The skill also damage dealt by the wearer increases by 24%. This goes up to a total of, 20 and 40. And then the last one is for the Hunt, increase the wearer's crit damage by 24, and their skill and follow-up attack damage by 24, and it goes to 40 and 40, right? Now, the first thing with these light codes, right? They're all very good, but some of them don't have as much of an effect as others, right? For example, the this one, I didn't happen to click on every single one besides one I wanted. The Erudition characters that do ultimate follow-up, right? So let's go over to the characters real quick, and let's click on Erudition if I can remember which one it is. Okay, so the requirement for this one is ultimate and follow-up attacks, right? Himiko and Jingyun can use this, right? Argenti uses ultimates. Technically, Jade, Herda, and Anoxa also use ultimate, but they mostly want skills and whatnot. So, I mean, it's going to be a bit rough, right? Jade also has follow-up. Sorry, I'm about to, not trying to exclude her, right? Rappa doesn't really use this, right? So a lot of characters aren't going to get the full benefit from this light cone, right? Even though it does boost crit damage, which is pretty nice, it's not buffing the most characters on the team. The characters that does buff are kind of old at this point, so this is going to hurt this light cone, right? Next up, let's talk about the Anoxa light cone. So Anoxa's light cone is skill damage and follow-up for Hunt. And luckily, skill damage and follow-ups are actually, pretty good. Archer uses skills and has follow-ups. Fei Zhao uses skills and follow-ups, but most of her damage is ultimate, follow-ups, and skill, follow-ups. So a lot more characters can use the light cone. The only downside I have to this is its crit damage, which is easily replicated. If it was crit rate, I'd put it a lot higher, but it is still pretty solid nonetheless. Next up, we have Mide's light cone, which is going to be for skill ultimate damage for destruction, right? So let's go over to destruction, skill and ultimate damage. Saber uses skill and ultimates. Phanon is a character. Mide uses skill and ultimate. Ultimate, he probably, I mean, Firefly doesn't do ult damage, but even, enhanced skill is there, but you're not going to use it for crit rate, or sorry, for crit rate on it. It's crit rate, right? I'm not tripping. Yeah, it is crit rate. You're not really going to be using it for Firefly. It is what it is. Jingyu can use ultimate, right? I guess, technically we're getting a lot into like the technicalities of stuff, right? But a lot more characters can actually use the full benefit, not that one, of this one. Or not, sorry, not that one. This one. There you go. And it's boosting crit rate, which, unless your name is Jing Liu, crit rate is also pretty good. You also get a total of 20 from this, so it's actually really solid. I'm going to put this one up in C tier, right? And then the last one is Remembrance, right? So for Remembrance characters, the main issue is that they kind of all don't really care for this. Hyacine doesn't, RMC doesn't. It's really just Aglia and Castoris. And Remembrance light cones are very scarce, right? So this one increases crit damage of your Remembrance sprite and yourself, right? Which the two DPSs want. However, we do have a free light cone that gives 24% crit damage, and then it also does, like, when the wearer's Remembrance sprite uses ability on ally, which neither of those two are going to do. Unfortunately, it still does give you the crit damage. Note, this is when it's completely maxed out, but this one is free, right? Now, since there is a lack of Remembrance light cones, this one is too bad. The Sweat Now Cry Less is going to give you crit rate. So if you need more crit rate for your characters, this one is also a pretty solid option. So while being pretty scarce, it does actually have quite a bit of competition. I just realized I just didn't let you guys see that on the screen. I apologize. Hopefully I didn't do that the entire video. So this one's kind of rough to rank. It is a very good light cone with, I do like the crit rate a lot more for it. So I'm struggling to rate this light cone. Considering you can buy the other one, I feel like I have to put it in the bottom of C, right? It's only 2 characters. Do I put it in D? This one's an anomaly to me. I will be nice and put it at the bottom of C, but this is how I would rank them, right? Obviously, this one, we could easily switch places from bottom tier to top tier, but this is the order that I am going to give them, right? These light cones are very, very solid. Not a lot of... It's rough to say free because the battle pass isn't free, right? But there's not a lot of light cones that are 4 stars that give like crit rate, crit damage, and then boost attacks, right? So even though these are in C, they aren't bad buffs, but having a healer and preservation light cone that give you damage is pretty solid. This one, like pretty much all of these are just support light cones, but the support light cones that have your damage dealers do more damage while they probably have their signatures, right? Which is another like bump in the road for these ones down here, because most of the time when you go for a DPS, you're gonna have their signature light cone most of the time, right? The battle pass light cone definitely can help you fill in a slot where you don't get the signature or you're unlucky and you can get at the moment. But if you do have their SIGs, you're probably just going to give the signature light cone to your DPS, and having a supportive light cone that helps your DPS do more damage on your other characters is pretty nice. Obviously, if you have their signature light cone, it's going to help them out a bit more. These are 4-star light cones at the end of the day, even though they are paid, right? Still, this is a massive improvement from the light cones before, right? So let me know in the comments which ones you're going to grab next. I should probably say which one. I'm pretty sure I'm going to grab the Nihility one. But I'm debating if I want to grab the break one. My roommate definitely is not at a spot where she could easily take the break, like Harmony light cone, and use it well, because she barely reaches her break effect threshold how it is. And I also am using the 4-star light cone, and I'm tempted to even get her own signature next battle pass when I have enough to exchange. So I'm conflicted, right? But it's probably going to be between these two. I definitely don't need any of these 4. I have enough light cones that boost crit rate or crit damage for the DPSs of those classes. These ones are pretty solid. I think Quid Pro is going to be fine for Gallagher. Hyacine's using a speed one. What other sustains? Whoa also use Quid Pro, so I think that's fine as well. Aventurine uses Japard's light cone. just to get hit more, right? And then do follow-ups. And then I can also give him the Topaz one that burns if I'm using with like Acheron. So I think I'm fine there. So it really is just between these two. I'm very tempted just to pick out this one for Nihility, but I do have a lot of Nihility light guns. Like I have Ciphers, so it's like, do I really need it? I'm conflicted. I don't know. I'll do a lot of thinking, but it's between these two, right? It's between those two. But anyway, regardless, let me know what you guys think of these light cones. Do you think they're good? Could be better? Do you agree with my tier list? I know people are probably going to rip it apart. Is what it is. These are just my thoughts at the end of the day. But let me know which ones you're going to pick up below. And of course, I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.